So I think we should start. So good morning and welcome to the first technical session. I'm honored to have such a good number of experts who have been experienced in public policy and also bring rich experience from other sectors. So let me introduce to my left is Ranjan Negi. Ranjan is a partner in a merchant. He works on trademark and copyright practice group. He has worked on a number of issues like spam, amendment of copyright, compulsory licensing, all gamut of intellectual property. He has been very strong in internet and software. So I will really look forward to a lot of other sector examples when he is deliberating on any of the point. He has been also into teaching and mentoring at National Law School, National Law University, Delhi. To my right is Sandeep Kumar. He works for Novartis. He has over 30 years of experience in different companies, Sam Miller, Godfrey Phillips. But most important, I would like to highlight, he has been in advertising, heading legal department, and public policy. Different stream. He has bachelor in economics from Delhi University and from Indian Institute of Management, MBA, the Ivy League in India. To my further right is Vikas.
Excuse me, can you speak
Near to the mic? Okay, sure. Am I audible now? To my extreme right is Vikas Singh. Both of us were in FICCI for 8 years, so I know Vikas since 1997. He has done his law and MBE from University of Delhi. On public policy, he has interacted and worked with most of the ministry in India. He has worked with FICCI, he has worked with Carlsberg, he has worked with Dutch Embassy, if I'm not... Danish Embassy. And now Lenovo, he is heading public policy. To my left, second left is Anwar. Anwar is Executive Director of MATE. MATE is basically Manufacturer Association of IT products. So most of them are hardware companies, electronic hardware, but some of them are software and telecom also. A lot of Indian companies, multinational companies. He has over 100 plus members, all brands, I will say. And to my extreme left is Amitabh. Amitabh has law and MBA. He has worked with a journalist, very established journalist, but shifted to corporate world. He has worked with Times of India, Hindustan Times, Observer, Economic Times, you name in India, in media, who's who. He has also, now he's in Abbott, but before that he was in GSK and MSD. So with that kind of experts with me, what I intend to do is I want to have some questions and let the panel respond to it. And this question is to everybody. That way I think we will have the best out of it. And trust me, when I'm moderating or chairing, my first responsibility is towards my audience, okay? So I will try to call out maximum from you guys. So the first question which is coming to my mind is that India has moved a lot from the license Raj in public policy space where people have to really go to the government, beg and get things done. From there, we have moved to the RTI age where right to information is very important and people are exercising it. So my question to you is, all the panelists, what do you think, what is the level of transparency in public policy and how we are where we are and how we should go and become more transparent, which was very helpful to the public policy space. So question is open, anybody can answer.
Okay, to my mind, we have actually moved quite a lot in the direction of making the public policy making process and public policy formulation more transparent. Now, the couple of things that I would like to just leave on the open for everyone to just think about and maybe contribute is like the first is the enactment of Right to Information Act. That has actually made access to public documents and there's public access to public documents, and that has actually brought in a lot more transparency that was existing before that. The second thing that comes to my mind is that there is a lot more interaction between stakeholders and the government, which has the prerogative to make policy in this country. So we have seen in the last, not just couple of years, maybe more than that, the experts are invited to draft certain policies, contribute in the drafting process. Then thereafter, those policies are left out in open for public to give their comments. Now, those comments are then taken in, excuse me, and sometimes the expert lawyers or people who are trained in the art in that particular subject matter, they are also invited to give their comments. So some of these things have been happening more and more progressively, which I think is making the process very transparent. In addition to that, we have seen now in last 5-10 years, the social media or the media itself, not the social media, but the media itself has also become very strong in framing public policy. It's a big influencer on formation of public policy. In addition, we also have examples of CAG, which is Controller of Audit General Office, which actually keeps a check and questions some of the things and or policies or principles which are actually brought out by the government. I think the country is moving more and more towards a situation where there are more participation, there's more public participation, and I think we are very, very transparent now when compared to the times you were talking about in terms of license rounds.
I just want to cover two aspects in addition to what Ranjan's covered. One, I think when we look at this whole issue of formulating public policy, apart from transparency, we also need to look at professionalism. So in the sense that we also need to ask ourselves that for this country, for the governments of this country, for the people of this country, for the corporates, lawyers, etc., engagement in public policy making is a relatively recent and new phenomenon. In the license Raj, etc., we knew what the public policy was determined not through negotiation. It was not determined by looking at win-win kind of situations. It was determined based on need, necessity, and someone's, just purely someone's, someone became a minister from somewhere and he introduces a train to go to that particular thing. So that's public policy was formed in those ways, right? Now, so when I talk about professionalism, really we have to, I think, turn and ask ourselves, as people who are involved on this side of public policy making, how professionally, what is our professional acumen in dealing with public policy making, other than just the fact that we've been doing it long enough, right? For example, if you look at the people in various organizations who are, in some sense or the other, responsible for dealing with governments and policy makers, they come from such diverse backgrounds. You have lawyers, you have just purely people who've been working in that particular line of business for a long while. You have people like me who come from advertising. So you have people who've come from a very diverse background. And there is really nothing in terms of a common language or a common platform or even a common understanding that many of us may have. We're kind of willy-nilly in it. So I think somewhere there also needs to be, and maybe organizations like yours, etc., can take a lead on that, development with universities of maybe courses, of maybe just things like that, which can lead to a certain professionalism. Because I think out of that professionalism will come transparency. Because unless you have a kind of professional acumen in engaging on these things, transparency tends to take a back seat because it becomes just a black box with a kind of mysterious thing happening there. That's one point I wanted to make. And the second point I wanted to make is that things like right to information, etc., have to some degree led to transparency in public policy making, and especially from the government perspective. But I think equally there needs to be transparency from the other side. Not from the people who are making the policy, but those people who are seeming to want to influence the policy, or the lobbyists, as we like to call them. I mean, whether we like it or not, lobbyists in today's in a democracy like ours are a necessary evil. And why I say evil is because recently there was a Gallup survey that was done in the United States, and lobbyists came below politicians, below used car salesmen, and even below lawyers in terms of ethics and honesty. So I think there needs to be a recognition of lobbying as a profession, and that is the first step towards making it transparent. There needs to perhaps, we need to consider things like UK is considering having a registry of lobbyists. I think there needs to be transparency in terms of what is the agenda of different lobby groups. Needs to be put out there in terms of websites and so on and so forth. And even in terms of interaction that take place between these groups and the government, I think they needs to be minuted, and they need to be made available for public scrutiny. Because only then, I think, once everyone's agenda is out there and available for people to see, will we find a greater rational process taking place.
Thanks, Tabriz. So the two parts of your question, and one is talking about in terms of how we've moved from the license Raj to RTI, and how much of that movement has happened, and what is one is the progress and what further. Well, on progress, Ranjan and Sandeep did add on transparency and professionalism, and maybe I'll like to add a little bit on professionalism. I think that what is missing, irrespective of all the transparency and professionalism, is there is no code of conduct. And so there is a lawmaker, and there is the other party which is trying to give inputs to create that law. But question is that, is this group enough? Are they taking, keeping the interests of the entire social environment that we are talking about in terms of creating that law? So somewhere that misses out, and only a certain group many a times is taken care of. Finally, a law comes out which does not really take care of the other sides of the community. So probably this is something which needs progress on.
Yeah, I think there are two clear-cut takeaways from this question. The first is that information, yes, we all agree. The level of information, maybe due to RTI, maybe because of better media outreach, it has definitely improved. But whether the amplification of that information is correct, whether people are mature enough, whether mindset are prepared to accept that kind of information and then translate or galvanize into a proper policy making, is something which we are yet to determine. So I think a lot needs to be done in terms of reaching out to different stakeholders, reaching out to the people who matter, and being far more sensible and sensitized to the policy making environment, rather than just being very wishful in our thoughts that this is the way to go. So to Sandeep's point and to other panelists, I think, yes, we need to be far more I won't use the word professional, but probably far more mature to actually, arrive at a situation where policy making becomes a gradual, instantaneous, as well as a very logical conclusion of any such information flow. And of course, we should also not forget that policy making is a continuous process. So what is good for today may not be good for 10 years hence. So we also need to keep in mind how that shift happens and when it happens and who takes that call.
I would like to only add, because most of the points they have done it, but still would like to agree with what Mr. Sandeep Kumar said, is that in my opinion, there is definitely a need to institutionalize the whole gamut of public policy. And probably we can mull over as to how we can possibly do that. Probably a takeaway or a suggestion to INBA can be to take this up to the Bar Council of India level, so that courses on public policy can be introduced to begin with in the law courses that we are running in the country. I mean, that can be a beginning. Step 2 can be taking it, having more, I mean, as rightly pointed out by other panelists, probably we need to have some kind of standard set up so that there are benchmarks, the way the company secretaries, the way the chartered accountants, they have their own institutions, they have their own code of conducts, they have their ethics, and those kind of abiding principles are there which they follow in their day-to-day practicing. Something similar needs to be brought in into public policy, definitely, which will give a different kind of a mindset that currently public policy professionals are currently looked at in a country like most of, in the country, what we were talking about the surveys where we are ranked below probably many other professions. Now those things have to change. The topic of today's conference is probably, if I were to translate it for this session, it would be role of public policy for economic growth. There is definitely a very, very important role that public policy professionals play in the whole economic growth process, growth strategy, policy formulation, and probably a very good positive aspect as I see it. Right here on the dais, you realize that out of the 5 people who are sitting over here, 3 of us, are currently working for multinational corporations, which ourselves have a very robust in-house ethical code of ethics, which we have to follow and translate into our business practices as well. So these kind of more and more professionals coming into the realm of public policy is definitely seeing far better processes, far better, policy contributions and those kind of things. So transparency is kind of being inherently infused. Probably we need to institutionalize that and make it into more of a process rather than leaving it into bits and pieces. That's all.
So thanks for a very diverse response. So we quickly touched upon transparency, stakeholders, participation, bringing professionalism. I want to stay on, okay, on this topic because I want to get more from you guys. What should be done? Many times we have seen that, whatever the level of participation from a stakeholder is there, we do a lot of submission, a lot of position papers